everybody. Welcome back to the Film Buds podcast, right, Paul?
Yeah.
And my name is Henry.
And I'm Paul.
This week, we got a great show for you. We have a review of Wonder Woman 1984, which is currently in theaters and on HBO Max. And then we are also going to be counting down our top 10 films of 2020. So should be a great discussion there. And, you know, if we have time, we might get to other stuff. But, you know, those two things are the focus for this week. Thanks for joining us. Paul, how are you?
I'm doing well. It's been a slow start to 2021. Not terribly much of note going on, I suppose.
Yeah.
Just waiting for everything to kind of really get back into gear post-holidays.
Yeah.
How are you?
You have a good... I'm doing fine, man.
Good.
I go back to school in, I guess, a week from today, and I guess it'll be interesting because I do have a few classes that will be in person as of now, and so slightly nervous as to how that will go, but, you know, we'll see. I'll keep everybody updated on that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, otherwise fine. You know, just was fortunate to have a very, you know, quiet, nice holiday season, you know, nothing too crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, doing all right, man. And I guess a couple in-house things to mention. So first of all, a shout out to a listener of the show, Don, who I ran into at the coffee shop I work at recently. And he said the nicest things about the podcast. And so thank you so much to him for saying that, you know, really made my day. So thanks again to him. And then also, Paul, we just had a nice chat with Henry Wilkinson, friend of the show, yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
We recorded a Disney live action bonus show that will be available sometime in the next few weeks at thefilmbuds.bandcamp.com. That's where you can get all of the other Film Buds bonus shows, or the majority of them. So you can just get them for a $1 donation, and the funds go to help support the upkeep of the show. But that one will be out in the next few weeks, hopefully, and we'll keep you updated on all that. Yeah, well, not too much else to mention. Paul, anything for you, dude?
No, not terribly much. You know, it was a packed weekend for me of getting sort of, you know, caught up on movies that had come out. And so, you know, it was Tenet and Soul and Wonder Woman. So yeah, it was a little bit packed, but it was mostly enjoyable.
Yeah,
2/3 of it were enjoyable.
It was hard work.
Hard but enjoyable, you know.
Yeah. All right. Well, cool. I mean, should we get into Wonder Woman?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Yeah, let's get into our review of Wonder Woman 1984. And we do have a clip for this one, so take a listen.
This world is not yet ready for all that you will do. Your time will come, Diana. And everything will be different.
Citizens of the world, I'm here to change your life. Anything you want, anything you dream of, you can have it. You look like you saw a ghost. Diana, look at you. It's like not one day has passed.
Okay, well, as we said, it's Wonder Woman 1984 is in theaters right now and on HBO Max. And it's directed by Patty Jenkins, and it stars Gal Gadot. Is it Gadot or Gadot? I hear both.
I think it's like Gadot.
Okay. It also stars Chris Pine, Kristen Wiig, Pedro Pascal, Robin Wright, Connie Nielsen. Am I forgetting anybody big?
Not that I can think of.
All right. And the synopsis is rewind to the 1980s as Wonder Woman's next big screen adventure finds her facing two all-new foes, Max Lord and the Cheetah. Not the best synopsis there, but we've had worse.
Yeah, we have. The
well,
one for
this
Beauty
one,
and the Beast.
Yes. Well, this one had some delays due to COVID. It was supposed to come out in the summer. And it was, unsure if it was going to be released in theaters or on HBO Max. And finally, it had a little bit of both. And yeah, a lot of buzz about this one. A lot of excitement, a lot of anticipation. Paul? Now, I guess one thing we should say, talking about bonus shows, it's nice that you and I are talking about this because we did talk about, along with Jigga Bowers, the first Wonder Woman on the DC Cinematic Universe bonus show that you can also listen to on Bandcamp. So that was a nice time as well.
Yeah,
Paul,
it was.
yeah. Would you like to kick? I mean, I guess we should also, since we did chat yesterday, we kind of know how the other is feeling.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to get into this discussion. Would you like to kick it off?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I like the first Wonder Woman. I think that it is a little bit, imperfect in its own ways, but I think that it's mostly a very good film. I think that it's very enjoyable. And I think that it achieves most of what it wants to achieve. And I think that it really resonated with a lot of people because it did achieve what it set out to do, which was create something that was, empowering and highlighted Gal and her abilities such as they are. And, I think that first film had a lot of heart in it. And I think that that's why it probably ended up working so well, is that it was also a little bit of that lightning in a bottle. Everyone involved was really in it. And so I like the first one. Boy, howdy, what in the hell happened with the second one? And the first one had villain problems and all kinds of issues, but this one is just a pretty thin story stretched out over way too long with a message that it doesn't really earn in any kind of way, and a lot of classic mistakes that people make with sequels, especially in the comic book genre. And so that's kind of, I guess, my broad strokes pitch on Wonder Woman 1984. Henry, what do you think?
Well, this is embarrassing. I'm not sure for who, but no. So I'm with you, Paul. I really enjoyed the first Wonder Woman a lot, and I was looking forward to this one. And so going into it, I had heard a lot of bad things. It was the lowest rated on IMDb. Well, I mean, which says nothing, but on Letterboxd, it just reviews were not good. And so I was kind of expecting the worst, but I have to say, I mean, I really seem to be in the minority here, but I really enjoyed it. I don't think it's a perfect film by any means. I will agree it is too long. It's quite long. It does not need to be 2.5 hours.
No.
But with all these films, the third act always feels too extended. And that's where you kind of drop off a little bit. But otherwise, I thought it was very enjoyably lighthearted, over the top, charming. I thought it flowed. People say there's an issue with pacing. For the most part, I didn't have an issue with pacing until maybe the last half hour or so. I thought it flowed really well. I enjoyed the Chris Pine storyline, even though it's kind of absurd. I enjoyed it in the context of the story. I liked the 80s setting. I thought Hans Zimmer's score was excellent. I really liked Kristen Wiig. I know some people are kind of hit or miss for people, but I liked her quite a bit. Pedro Pascal as well. And I think Gal Gadot, as I've said before, I think she's really a perfect Wonder Woman. And so, yeah, I see why people dislike it. I just happen to feel the opposite.
I guess, for me, I guess this is where the seams really started to show for me in a lot of ways for the movie. Because, the first one, I think that Gal ended up having a better performance for me. I think she seems a little bit disengaged. And maybe she's supposed to be coming off as distant, but I think that she ends up just coming across as vacant, just kind of not present in any kind of way. And as far as Kristen Wiig goes, I mean, this is the same syndrome that we have with Jamie Foxx in Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
It's the same syndrome that we have with Jim Carrey in Batman Forever. This classic trope of, obsession turned dangerous, turned into envy that becomes, villainous outburst. And it's fine, I guess, but I just don't think that most people do it right, because I think that most people ham it up, and I think that that is the same thing that we have here. And I think that Kristen Wiig, to me, felt a little bit out of her depth. Honestly, the person that I guess performance-wise I did enjoy the most was Pedro Pascal, just because he was right in his wheelhouse. He was having as much fun as he wanted to have with it. And at least he had that going for him, and it was nice to see his face for once. Or, since, he's started Mandalorian, we barely see his face. So, for me, the whole thing falls apart because it feels rushed in its overall, I guess, premise and concept. And I think that therefore they kind of rush over some certain things. I think that the politics of Chris Pine being in another person's body are very sticky and problematic. I think that they never do a good job of clarifying exactly what the magic is that's taking place inside of him. It serves the plot as plot needs. And that's how I feel kind of about everything. Everything just kind of serves the plot as the plot needs it to happen. At one moment, her lasso, runs out of length and slips out of her hand. But then the next moment she throws it, 3 football field lengths through the air to catch the tail of a jet to yoink her into the sky.
Loved it.
So, and so, I just think that it's a little bit, I think it's sloppy, and I think that it's playing fast and loose, because I don't think that it really thought about what any of these things were or what any of these things meant to each other. And there was a moment at the end of the movie, spoiler alert for anyone, I don't care, don't watch this movie, where
Don't watch it.
do not give it the satisfaction.
Subscribe to HBO Max right now.
Don't do it. Honestly, I'd rather you risk COVID, I think, than join HBO Max. It's a terrible app. It crashes all of the time. You will be a dissatisfied customer.
I will say that. It's not great.
Don't actually risk COVID, though. That is a joke. Please don't.
No,
Stay home.
Yeah, don't. Yes.
Just don't watch this movie. So I just think that, there was this moment right at the end where, she finally shows up, and the last time that Wonder Woman finally shows up, and the last time that we had seen her, she was flying through the air in her regular suit. And then suddenly, boom, she shows up and she's now in her armored suit. And it was okay, fine, we can breeze past, I guess, her being, all specialed up now, but they made a really big deal about it. So I thought that we would have come back to it at least once before, jumping right into it. And then suddenly Kristen Wiig shows up and she's made her transformation. And I was like, wait a minute, you robbed me of my werewolf moment? My werewolf moment with this character happened off stage where she finally gets her curse, she finally gets her cost for her wish, which could have been a really powerful character moment. And we don't do it. Instead, we focus on bullshit them flying through fireworks in the invisible jet. And it's just, it's a waste of cinematic time. And I don't think that it highlights many people's talents. The other person, by the way, going back to performance, who's doing his best is Chris Pine, but that's because Chris Pine is effortlessly fucking charming. The man doesn't have to do a lot. He's Chris fucking Pine.
Yeah.
He's ruggedly handsome. He's Captain Kirk. He doesn't have to do a lot to be charming. And here's a great great small example of the movie doing something that doesn't end up having any consequence. They do the whole we need a montage of him in the suits, which is both a callback to the last movie and a way to highlight 80s fashion ridiculousness. But then at the very end of that sequence, he just ends up back in the same fucking costume that he was at the start, but now he has a fanny pack. So ultimately, it was consequenceless. You just wasted my time. At least in Wonder Woman, she ends up going through a transformation where she gets herself some regular, rando dando clothing, and she's now, customized to the world and accumulated to it and can go forth. And then Chris Pine is just sort of all right, montage of me in clothes.
Paul, they're leaving it open to interpretation.
No.
That allows your mind to wander.
No, my mind did wander.
Screen?
No, I did. My mind did wander to what I could have been watching, to what could have been. Because, like, the core premise isn't even bad. And, like, you know, the whole notion of truth versus lying and the media and using this sort of Trumpian figure is, like, totally fine. You can do whatever you want. But I guess for me, it doesn't really create a reason why the truth is more powerful. You know, at the end of the movie, it just is. Well, great. But, you know, not to be, I guess, sort of grim or overly political for any of our listeners, whatever. But, like, you know, there's a lot of obvious fact out there that lies have a lot of staying power and a lot of validity to the people who choose to believe them, you know?
Sure.
It doesn't matter that the guy who made the whole that vaccines are bad for people claim ended up getting discredited and, like, you know, his license removed. That lie is already, like, embedded into a certain cultural DNA. And so, like, the movie goes for this grand message, like, it really reaches for it, but then it just says, like, the truth is good and the truth will win because the truth. And, like, you can't go and do this whole thing where he becomes so all powerful from lies where, like, the truth can't even touch him. And then suddenly, because Gal started monologuing, the power of the truth came through. And it's just, it doesn't land any of what it wants to do. It reaches a lot of different ways, grabs nothing, and ends up just, like, falling flat on its face after running for 2.5 hours through, like, a game of Quap. You remember that game where you had to try and run with just 4 keys on the computer?
Yes.
He just ends up running. The movie is a game of Quap where it was in the splits for the longest time, just inching forward, and then it just fell on its face. That's, I think, the most accurate metaphor for the film.
Out of 5?
I tell you what, tell me some other things that you liked about it. I'm curious.
Okay, so I will agree. Like, if I sat down, like we're doing now, we're both sitting, and I, for anyone out there wondering, so if I had the script or the, a layout, I'm sure I could pick it apart to death. I'm sure I could. But the thing is, with this movie, like, with Batman v Superman, that movie was so, like, ungodly serious that I was thinking about how ridiculous all those plot points were. Whereas in this, for the most part, maybe up until the end, I wasn't really thinking about how the plot connects all that much. I was just kind of enjoying the characters and the flow of the story. So I agree that looking at it from a specific or detailed standpoint, sure, I completely agree with that. However, tonally and, conceptually, the performances and the characters, I just enjoyed that. And so it's my cross to bear. Well, I can't do anything about it. I've watched the movie. I've let it sit with me. But the thing is, looking back at this year, at least, it's one of the more enjoyable times I've had. And even looking back at recent superhero films, I thought it felt much more genuine, and it had, like, a good, even, again, the messages don't totally mesh or marinate fully, but I thought it had much better intentions and morals and with what it was trying to say, even if it didn't always stick them than so many others do. And so I agree about the whole cheetah thing towards the end. Like, I kind of wish I'd seen that, like, transformation. And I agree that Kristen Wiig's character, it is like the Jamie Foxx thing. I've seen that, but loving Kristen Wiig so much, it didn't really bother me. If it had been a lesser actor, sure, I'm totally there with you.
Well, and, like, I guess I will say this, like, Kristen Wiig is probably doing the best with what she has. It's just, I guess, that, like, I'm not really there for that specific character journey. Sure. And maybe that's, I guess, more of a fair point to take on the Kristen Wiig side of it. I think that she's definitely giving, what that script allows her to give to the best of her ability, if that makes sense.
Right. And I did like the final design of Cheetah. I don't know if that's
I do like the design. I wish that, I guess, it looked a little bit better from scene to scene, because I do feel like it's a little bit inconsistent for me just from moment to moment.
Right.
But I do like, you know, the overall look of it. I mean, I wish it had a little bit more of her face, I think, in it. I feel like she gets maybe just a smidge lost.
Yeah. And I will point out, like, in terms of the script, I kind of wish that she had become Cheetah earlier in the movie. Like, I kind of wish I had seen the final form of her maybe 30 minutes before that, you know, because I feel like I was just getting to be with that character. And so that part of the film I was a little frustrated by. Also, now talking about superhero films, you know, we have so many come out these days, and there are so many origin stories. And for the most part, they grow tiresome because there's only so much you can do with that. I did find this one somewhat refreshing because for the most part, you are with the characters as they are. You know, they are established. And so I liked that I didn't have to spend 40 minutes getting to know people, or at least Wonder Woman herself.
Yeah.
Because I could just be with that character. She is Wonder Woman. She's saving people. She's doing her thing. And so that part is, I think, one reason why the flow of the story did not really bother me, because like, oh, cool, I'm with this character now. Like I can just enjoy it rather than like, okay, we have to get through an hour before she becomes who she is meant to be. Yeah. You know, like, you know, how like Spider-Man 2 or something starts off, like you get that, you know, just immediate kick. And yeah, I mean, just kind of smaller elements. I did like, the score, Hans Zimmer's score. Oh, yeah. And yeah, he always does great stuff.
And I did very much enjoy, you know, I always enjoy the Steve, you know, Diana dynamic, just because I think that they're very charming together. And I think that he's a great character. And I think that, you know, it's that nice kind of, you know, same sort of thing with Steve and Peggy in Captain America, you know, just that nice sort of, you know, forged in fire, very strong sort of bond that never quite gets to happen the way that it's supposed to happen. And they do a good job with that. And I enjoy how he's, you know, part of the reason that she learns how to fly is, you know, like through him and his love of flight. And so I did enjoy, you know, that aspect to it, even though the aspect of him being in another person's body was a little odd. It felt like it almost felt like a double curse, you know, like her wish came with two curses, if that makes sense.
Right.
But no, it's I'll be curious, I guess, to see where they go, because they're talking about how this new one is supposed to be. They've already signed on for the third, Gal and Patty Jenkins both. And I'll be curious to see, it's supposed to be a contemporary story. I don't know what that means. I feel like that's a pretty wide range.
Yeah.
So it's probably going to be like present, but Cheetah might be coming back, apparently. Who knows? We'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah. And in terms of the Chris Pine, Gal Gadot dynamic, I thought, or the character dynamic, rather, I thought that the final moment with them worked really well emotionally for me. I thought that was a good final, you know, kind of conclusion to that storyline, or, you know, so far. And so that was a nice part of the film when, you know, other parts around it towards the end were slightly messy.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, that's the thing. I was really, like, immediately I was just kind of in for it. I was enjoying it. Like the opening, like kind of Olympic Games kind of sequence. What do you think of that?
See, I guess maybe that was like the make or break point for the movie. I feel like some movies have that for people, where it's like you hit a certain scene or a certain character beat, and either you turn off there or you stick with it. And I guess for me, like, the start with the child being a part of like the full grown adult Olympic Games and like kicking ass at them.
It was a touch silly.
was the moment that I was like, you know what? I think I'm out.
Yeah. No, I agree with that aspect. I think it was more so like the design of the like games itself. You know, I agree that whole thing was, you know, I didn't love it totally. I would have loved maybe just like a younger, I don't know, like a teenage version of Wonder Woman instead, you know, but I thought it was still fairly engaging and well directed And so it was too long though. I was like, all right, let's get to it.
You already showed me how the flags work, so we can do just like a little montage here of like some quick shots and some flags expanding, and I'll get it.
Yeah. I thought the highway kind of like desert chase, I thought that was all right. Towards, I guess, about halfway through the movie, that was a solid scene.
I was with that for the most part until the children in the street got involved. That was the moment that I was then like, really?
That's fair enough.
Not the little children.
They just happen to be outside.
Yeah, playing soccer in the street. No one sees them coming. Massive convoy rumbling down. Shit's been going down. Crashes have been happening, and mom's just like, "Oh, they'll move.
Don't tell anyone." Yeah. I was very pleasantly surprised. I had a really good time with it, and I've just been, taking down everybody who's been saying otherwise.
Well, you know what? I'm glad that you had a great time at least.
Yeah.
I actually preferred, I think, Nutcracker in the Four Realms to Wonder Woman.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah. And for anyone who's wondering, we just recorded that on the Disney episode.
So go and listen to it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. How does this rank for you for DC Cinematic Universe films?
Oh, God. I don't know. Somewhere probably around like Man of Steel, Birds of Prey, Suicide Squad. Really good company.
Right. Man, you're going to love my top 10. Yeah. So, all right. Well, anything else about Wonder Woman, Paul?
No. HBO takes some of this money and put it into your fucking IT department, because this app is a joke and a half. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I tried to go back 5 seconds. The whole fucking thing crashed.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah, people are trying to watch Gossip Girl, All right, well, Paul, out of 5 stars.
I don't know. 1.
For the Wonder Woman sequel.
Yeah, 1.
Oh, Paul! I don't know. I'm at least a 4.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it's... I don't know. I've said my piece. I mean, I guess I'm in it now. People have either turned off or they're fully engaged.
Yeah,
I'll go heavy 4, maybe 4.25 on a good day.
Okay.
Yes, yesterday I was feeling it, so might as well.
Yeah, hard 1.
Okay. Okay, cool. I guess we can get on to the best of 2020.
Mm-hmm.
So this, of course, was a very odd year for everybody in a variety of ways. And of course, movies, probably around March in the US, theaters kind of went kaput, at least for a while. And, things either were delayed or they were put on streaming services. And so things were really switched around. Paul, what did you think of this year for film?
I didn't see, I guess, terribly much of 2020, to be frank. My top 10 is actually like a few films that I saw and then like 3 movies that I just wanted to see that I'm going to try and get to sometime soon. Because I wanted I wanted my list to at least be all films from 2020, but I literally just didn't see enough to fill a top 10.
Yeah.
And that's partially because I was teaching when 2020 started and I just didn't really have the time and the energy and desire to like go out and sit in a theater. And then, COVID hit and I don't know, things just kind of happened on streaming and it was like, oh, that came out. And so there was a lot that I didn't see, but of what I saw, most of it I liked. And so at least I've got that going for me, I guess, for the year 2020. But also I feel like they kind of slimmed down what came out. So maybe it's just that, they got lucky by the numbers, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, just by doing the podcast, I saw a decent amount of movies, but towards, I guess, the second half of the year, I really missed out on a lot. I just didn't get around to watching things, and due to busyness or just, anxiety, whatever it was, mix of the two. But yeah, so my top 10 is not something I'm totally proud of. It's not something I, would put my name on, and but it's still, I guess it's a reflection of the year, for better or worse. Yeah, well, do you want to kick things off? I guess we can go, I don't know, since you have a slightly different list, we can go 10, 10, 9, 9, something like that.
Sure.
Right.
So I'll start at, I guess, like the ones that I wanted to see that I didn't get around to. And one of those is Trial of the Chicago 7.
Yeah, I didn't see that either. I
love Aaron Sorkin. I love the cast. This has been a movie that was long in development, that I kind of tracked the development of. I remember back when Steven Spielberg was supposed to direct it, and I think Will Smith was supposed to be in the cast. And that was a long time ago, back when he was relevant. And so,
Paul, where's that West Side Story remake? When are we getting that?
It's supposed to be. Is it part of? No, it's not part of HBO. It's part of Paramount. I know that it's been delayed because it was supposed to come out Christmas this year.
Yeah,
and it got a COVID delay, but I'm not sure when it's supposed to be coming out now.
Anyways, continue.
But yeah, Trial of the Chicago 7. Love the cast. Love Aaron Sorkin. That's my number 10 for 2020, I suppose.
All right. Well, my number 10 is True History of the Kelly Gang, directed by Justin Kurzel, who did the 2015 Macbeth film with Michael Fassbender, as well as Assassin's Creed. And Macbeth especially, I love totally. And this was a really cool under-the-radar film about this. I guess it's quote-unquote inspired by a true story of this Australian gang, I think in the early 1900s, who just were very, violent and just caused so much chaos and for the area. And it's just a very dark, pretty grim Western. It's not one for everybody. His films are very grim, very dour. And so it's not one that you just want to pop on, but it's really well done. Very well acted. Has the main guy who was in 1917. I can't think of his name offhand. And Russell Crowe as well. Oh, and Charlie Hunnam also. So it's a film that you got to be ready for, and you get out of it what you put into it. It's not a totally accessible film, but it's still worth a watch if that's your thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll have to give it a look.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Number 9, Paul?
Yeah. The Invisible Man with Elizabeth Moss and the guy from Hill House and Bly Manor. I'm blanking on his name. But I love Blumhouse. I think that they do great work. I thought that this looked like an interesting take on the character. It looked nice and small, and like it was about something, which is always when horror is at its best, is when it's about something. And so I was really interested in seeing it, but it was just one of those that, again, because of sort of life getting in the way, it's just not one that I got around to.
Yeah.
You've seen that one, right?
Invisible Man?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
How'd you like it?
You'll see, Paul.
Okay.
You'll see. Oh no, but no, I was a big fan. Yeah. I know Sky Tilly loved it also, but he's a horror hound.
Yeah.
All right. Well, my number 9 is David Fincher's Mank. Okay. It's one we reviewed just a few weeks ago, and he's really my favorite director, or at least my second favorite, and so it's one that I enjoyed and I wanted to like more. I still overall, the craft is undeniably great, and it's not up there for best Fincher for me, but it's still a really solid, very well made film in a lot of ways, and so definitely left an impression more so than a lot of others have recently.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's a good one. I liked Mank a great deal. Mank made my list, so but that'll come later.
Yes. All right, Paul, number 8?
Ma Rainey, with...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the final Chadwick performance. Honestly, I think that's just the reason that I haven't gotten to it yet, is is just because I know it's going to bum me out on a certain level. It's kind of like once Alan Rickman passed, it was hard to kind of go back to like, Harry Potter immediately. Because that was an icon, and like I still haven't gotten myself to watch Black Panther yet, and I don't know when I'll go back and try and attempt the first Black Panther, so...
Yeah, I haven't either.
Yeah, I'll get around to Ma Rainey again. It's a great cast, great visuals, and it was one that once I saw the trailer for, I was very excited for it. But it's just, again, not one that I've gotten to.
Yeah, same here. All right, my number 8 is Jesse Eisenberg's Resistance, which Chloe and I reviewed back early on in the year. This true story of this World War II story of this French mime who joined the French resistance, and it's just a very unexpectedly moving, well-made film. And Jesse Eisenberg is kind of hit and miss for me, as I've talked about on the show a lot before, but he's very good in this. And I love World War II history, so I might be slightly more interested in the topic more so than others might be, but it's still a very solid film and a very important story to have been told.
Wasn't there once like a movie that a famous comedic actor made that was like about like a mime or like a clown in World War II? And like they went and they made the whole movie, and it was a big budget thing, and then it was apparently just the most horrid thing that you ever saw, and it got shelved.
That kind of rings a bell. I can't think of it offhand though. I think that does sound real.
Yeah, and it was, I want to say Jerry Lewis, Dean Martin's like right-hand man on his show.
Yep.
I think that it was him, and I think that like he had produced it and starred it, and it's apparently just awful, and like they didn't release it. I think they like burned the film. Like I don't think there's any record of this thing existing beyond maybe photographs and like scripts.
Well, that's a good thing, probably. Well, this one's a lot better.
That's good.
Yeah,
I'll have to give this one a look. This one sounded interesting.
Yeah. All right, Paul. Mm-hmm. Number 7.
Yeah, number 7. I'm going to go with Hamilton.
Okay, now is this one you saw or you are wanting to see? Yes,
I'm now officially into things that I saw.
Okay.
So number 7, Hamilton. It was one, brilliant marketing. It was a great move by Disney because it was supposed to come out 2021, I think. And then they ended up releasing it right in the middle of COVID, July 4th, and it was just perfect timing, zeitgeist kind of stuff.
Our most popular episode to date.
Really?
Our review of it, yeah.
Okay. And so I had a great time with it. One of the reasons that I never really, I guess, engaged in like the Hamilton fever when it took hold of America was because I was like, I'm never going to get to see that fucking show. I'm never in New York. If I ever get to New York, who the fuck knows if I'm going to be able to get tickets? And like at that point, what's the cast going to be like? You're going to be getting people who are just going to be doing imitations of people that they saw before at a certain point. And I was just like, nah, I'm not going to get engaged. I'm not going to get engrossed in something that I'll never really get to like experience. And so it was great to have it come and be brought to everyone, and also be shot in a way that, was very engaging, because they did, I think, like 1 or 2 performances or something like that, where they did specific numbers with people in steady cams and no crowd. So that way really get in it. And it pays off. It looks great.
Yeah. Yeah. That was a good time. Yeah. I guess I was kind of the same thing with you. I was like, I really wanted to see it like so many, but I'm glad that they did this, because otherwise I don't think I ever would have had the chance.
Yeah.
All right.
What's your number 7, Henry?
Number 7 is Paul's favorite. It is Wonder Woman 1984.
You didn't make it your number 8 or your number 4?
No, it's too easy, Paul. No, people are expecting that of me. So no, I make sure to check out our review of it. Check out the review of Wonder Woman. No, I just enjoyed it. So, it's, what else can you say about that film, Paul?
It's there.
All right. Your number 6, I think we're at.
Yeah. Number 6, I'm going to go with Onward. I thought I thought that it was good, not great. You know, I know that a lot of people are very, very taken with it, and that's wonderful, but I think that it's kind of middle of the road Pixar, and I think that they didn't take their ideas and flesh them out, I guess, as thoroughly as I feel like they maybe should have. I felt like they made some choices but didn't think about like the explanations for them. And I also thought that it was just kind of, you know, very generic, you know, middle of the road narrative. And like, I love a good father and son story. You know, I love Big Fish, one of my favorite movies. But this just, I guess, didn't quite hit the same heights that it has been hitting for a lot of other people. But I still really, really enjoyed it. And I thought that it was really, really well made. And I thought that the voice acting was great. And I thought that it was really pretty. So.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't love it on the first watch, but then on rewatching it, I enjoyed it a fair bit more. But I agree with everything you said. I really connected with the father-son story, especially towards the end. I thought that the third act moments were very effective in that. So I agree. All right. Well, let's see here. My number 6 film is actually, it's the guy who did the music I interviewed on the Music Buds. It's The Wolf of Snow Hollow.
Okay.
Written and directed by Jim Cummings, and starring him as well.
The voice actor?
I think so.
Oh, okay.
If it's, it's his name is Jim Cummings. I don't know. We'll have to do a little research on that one.
Okay.
He's directed something else before, so I don't know if yeah. We'll have to get back to you on that.
Okay.
Do a little deep dive. No, this one was not one I had heard of before I got the chance to interview this composer, and it's this comedy horror film that is about this werewolf terrorizing this town in Utah, I think it is, perhaps. And it's just this very absurd comedy horror film that bounces very quickly between those two genres. And Paul, you just looked like you discovered something.
Yeah, it is definitely
juicy.
not the voice actor. It is most assuredly. I saw a picture of this man and I went, oh no, that's not him.
Okay. Great actor in this, though. Great actor.
Oh, good.
Yeah. And yeah, it's very, very particular. It has this very delicate kind of fine line tone that it could have easily gone off the rails, but it never really does. And so it's really worth a watch if you like kind of quirky. It reminded me a lot of Coen Brothers films, like how they can inject comedy into like anything, you know? It's kind of like that.
Okay.
And so it was a cool, unexpectedly good film.
That's awesome. No, you're just making my list of things that I need to watch grow, which is a problem for me. Only so much time in a day.
Yes. All right, Paul, you're number 5?
You know what? Coming in at number 5, Da 5 Bloods.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, Spike Lee's film. Visceral, graphic, intense, very, very effective. That landmine scene is a lot. If you've seen it, you know. And I thought that it was really well done. You know, I think that even though it's not perfect, any Spike Lee movie is better than just about anyone else's worst movie. And I think that it's not for everyone. And it's certainly, I think that it's a little bit of a shame in a way that the third act becomes like a really big gunfight. But even at that, I think that it manages to pull it off pretty well. And I like what it has to say. And I love Spike Lee's style. He's such, you know, a great filmmaker. He's really like a multimedia filmmaker in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy it. It's a great one.
Yeah. And Chadwick Boseman. Is so great. It's one of my favorites of his.
Honestly, the cast is great. And apparently it was supposed to be a much bigger cast, but he had to sacrifice cast for budget. But I ended up thinking that played in his favor, because I think that truthfully I think I'd have been more aware of like the movie-ness of it, I think, if it had like, you know, the all-star cast that it originally had, because it was supposed to have like Sam Jackson in the Delroy Lindo role and stuff like that. And
right.
I just think that I'd have been a little bit more like, oh, you know, this is a big Spike Lee movie, as opposed to, you know, getting to see these bit players that I love in other things, you know, get to take the center stage, like Isaiah Whitlock Jr., who was in Pete's Dragon, which we reviewed on yesterday's bonus show.
Yes.
Bringing it back around.
Great film.
Yeah. So what's your number 5?
So my number 5 is Emma.
Okay.
The Anya Taylor-Joy starring film. And
great actor.
Yeah. And I was not, I like this time period, and I like the classic literature adaptations, but I didn't think I was going to enjoy it all that much. But it's really one of the most entertaining, lighthearted, fun, charming films that I saw all year. And it's beautifully designed. Like the costumes, the sets are incredible. And yeah, it was just a really feel good, great time. And it has the guy who's playing David Bowie, Johnny Flynn, I think his name is, as well. And so, yeah, very good cast. Anya Taylor-Joy is great. See her in New Mutants. You're going to love her. So, but yeah, it's really worth a watch.
No, that's
right,
a good
Paul?
pick. So number 4 for me, I think that I'm going to have to go with Borat's subsequent movie film.
I missed this.
Me and my wife turned it into a date night where Friday night we watched the first one and Saturday night we watched the second one. And even though I think the first one is better, Sacha Baron Cohen is just incredibly gifted at his talent. He's a real chameleon. It comes from a classical training that, if I'm not mistaken, has been based in partially studying mime work at one point in his early life. So he is a very aware of his physicality performer. And that's why he's so good at duping people, is because he really fully fleshes out who his characters are. There's a great segment where he spends 5 days embedded with two far right kind of conspiracy theorist sort of dudes. And it's a great segment, it's in a weird way a certain kind of journalism. And I just think that he's very gifted, and I really enjoyed it. I definitely, again, still prefer the first one, but I think that the second one still had a lot of really interesting content in it that's worth watching. And it was a great shakeup from everything else that came out this year. Yeah.
I really am wanting to see that soon. I missed it. I'm a big fan of the first one. So
yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was so. I saw the first one way back, and so coming back around and rewatching it, I was like, oh no, we were bound to be here. Yeah. I got that too. And now Henry's sad, everyone.
Yes.
Don't worry.
All right.
Escape to film.
Yes, let's do it.
Your next one?
My number 4 is Da 5 Bloods, Spike Lee's film.
Okay.
And yeah, we reviewed this one as well on the show. And yeah, just such a visceral, powerful film in so many ways. Very emotional. And yeah, I love Spike Lee, as I've said before. And as you said, Paul, it's even his worst film. Not say this is his worst film, but even his worst is way better than most people's. Mm-hmm. And yeah, great. I love Chadwick Boseman, and the whole cast is really quite good. And for example, the mine sequence with the rope is incredible. There are scenes like that where the danger, you really feel the danger with those characters and in that world. And I really enjoyed it.
No, it's a great one. I can't agree with you more.
Yeah. All right, Paul, number 3, are we?
Yeah, number 3. Yeah. I'm going to go with Soul.
Ah, yeah. Just watched that last night.
Yeah, I think that it has problems. It is not, again, my favorite Pixar. I'm not even sure that it cracks into my top 3 of Pixar, but I can't deny that there were portions of the movie that just were very profound and very touching and did evoke a very strong, resonating emotional experience. And so because of that, I can't deny its value. And I know that people are just absolutely adoring it. And I also did like that it highlighted jazz and had a little bit of the history of jazz to it, because that certainly is a classic American art form that not a lot of people know about. And so, kind of like Queen's Gambit made chess a little bit more popular, maybe you'll see jazz become a little bit more popular again.
Yeah. And cool thing, score is by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross.
And it's great.
Yeah, really great.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I watched it last night and enjoyed it a fair bit. I mean, I love Pete Docter's Pixar films, like Monsters Inc. and Inside Out are two of my favorites. So yeah, it's a good film.
Absolutely.
All right. My number three is Guy Ritchie's The Gentleman.
Oh, okay.
Paul, did you see this?
No, I thought about watching it, and I like Guy Ritchie, but I couldn't muster, I guess, the energy. Aladdin was rude, and it hurt my feelings, and I didn't want to give him the satisfaction, and he hasn't given me Rock and Rolla 2 yet, so...
Yeah. Please. Yeah, so this one, I didn't see it in theaters. Actually, when I saw the trailer, I was not, like, just to be blunt, I was really not that interested at all. I'm usually am with Guy Ritchie, but it just felt like Guy Ritchie retreading so much of the same old territory, which, I mean, not to say that it doesn't, but it was like some of the other films on my list, so entertaining. It was so funny, so well acted, so charismatic, and it was Guy Ritchie, like, doing what Guy Ritchie is great at. And it was, it's not a film that I think I don't know if people will have that as like, his top 3 best films, but for this year and the kind of effect that it had on me with everything going on, it was very enjoyable and a great time.
No, I'm glad that you had a great time with it. I know that for some people it was a little bit hit or miss. I know that you were definitely either with it or you weren't. But I'll have to give it a watch. It can't hurt. No. No, and it's it's one that like it flows. It goes by so quickly. It's not one that necessarily will like resonate with you like deeply, I think. But like looking back on it, it's still the experience of watching it was very enjoyable. Yeah, for me at least. Okay. Well, and I can't say that I don't love the cast, and he is great at packing an ensemble. So
yeah, for sure. All right, Paul. Getting down to the last few here. Number 2.
The 1 and 2. So the 2 spot, I think my 1 and 2 kind of have a theme for me of being sort of extremes of a spectrum on what can happen with film, especially if you let the director do what the director wants to do. And if you have good talent and good things in place and are making it for the right reasons. And so the number 2 spot is, unpopular opinion, maybe, it's Tenet. I really enjoyed it. The more I think about it, the more I like it. I'm excited to rewatch it. Rewatching Dunkirk made me more excited to rewatch Tenet. It is cinematic at its core. It is big. It is brash. It is exactly what he wanted it to be. And he really doesn't give a hootenanny fuck if you like that or not. And I think that it's a great example of how to also, do a kind of sci-fi story not unlike the Philip K. Dick sci-fi stories that so many people grew up with, like Blade Runner and Running Man, and even like Adjustment Bureau. These are all Philip K. Dick stories, and I think that Tenet definitely kind of falls into that same kind of lineage of let's take a theme and really explore it with all of it in our plot elements and our character threads and really just go deep into the mechanics of this thing, and people will figure it out however they need to figure it out.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I'm sad that, Tenet, it didn't make my list. I was, I am very excited to go back and rewatch it. I feel like when I do, I will enjoy it more, know, but yeah, we did talk about it on the show, and as you're saying, I agree with all of the things that you're saying. I think just at least on a first time viewing, it didn't totally work for me, even though I totally respect those aspects about it.
No, absolutely.
But no, that's a good choice.
Thank you.
All right. Number 2 for me is The Invisible Man.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, now I have to fucking watch it.
Oh yeah, for sure. And so this one was it was like, now is it Blumhouse or Blumhouse?
Does it particularly matter?
No.
I'm going to go potato on this one.
Anyways, I'll say for the sake of conversation, I'll go Blumhouse. No, Blumhouse. You got me confused now. Blumhouse. Blumhouse, that can be very hit or miss. You know, there are some films I really love, and then others totally miss the mark. But this one was so intense, so visceral, and Elizabeth Moss is great. And as I've said on the show before, The Invisible Man is one of my favorite characters, and it's one of my favorite films, the original film. Mm-hmm. And so I just kind of have a personal, kind of love of that story. And it did a great take of like a modern take of that story. And I thought it was executed very well. And yeah, just so well directed. And I really loved it.
Have you seen Hollow Man, I think it is, with Kevin Bacon?
No.
I think it's like similar kind of premise. It's not apparently very good. But I think it's an Invisible Man story from like the late 90s, early 2000s, where like they do the CG process of like him going invisible, and like you see a bunch of like really bad CG organs like floating through space, for a little while there. So it might be worth a look if you want to take a concept you love and watch someone do it badly. Yes.
We'll do a review of it next week. But no, it was, really a great time. And I guess this director, I didn't see his previous film Upgrade, but I've heard good things. And I know he's doing the Wolfman film with Ryan Gosling.
So interesting.
We'll see how that goes.
We saw how the last Wolfman went, so.
Yes. What, with Del Toro?
Yeah, Benicio del Toro, Hugo Weaving, and Emily Blunt, directed by Joe Johnston.
Yes. Great film.
Mm-hmm. Co-director of Nutcracker in the Four Realms.
Best film of the decade.
Uh-huh.
All right, Paul, your number one film of 2020.
My number one film is Mank.
Wow.
I really loved it. I thought that it had a timely message. I think that it is a film that you have to give it your attention. You were talking about movies that you get out what you give them. And
right.
I think that if you really get into it, I think that it's a really rewarding film. And I think that you see, all of the classic Fincher themes are there, even though this isn't about a serial killer. It still hits on ego and pride and power, and to a certain extent, even, sexual dynamics between men and women, even if they aren't actively having sex. And I think that it's a great, interesting movie that is so steeped in period and is so careful and so well crafted. And I think that it's just a great cinematic experience that is on the opposite, end of the spectrum from Tenet. We're not going ultra big now. We're going small, intimate, personal, and taking our time to do it. And I think that it's really rewarding. And I think that it's a great movie for people who, I guess, aren't really like aware of kind of, cinema climate right now, to see something that is very much about the modern studio system, while also being about, our own history in cinema, using one of, film history's greatest films as its backdrop.
Yeah, no, it is a great film. And I think I read an article, I think it was maybe the New York Times, they were talking about how it's this film, it's almost like David Fincher like going against Hollywood and saying, no, I'm not gonna like conform to what I guess the modern idea of like a Hollywood film. And it's, again, as you were saying, it's intimate, and it's once again David Fincher going into this idea of like, who am I in this world, trying to figure out his place there. And I think it's, as you mentioned, it's not a serial killer film, not that I saw, but it's still dealing with those same issues, just in a different context, or similar issues, that he deals with a lot. And very well made. And I'm, like Tenet, am excited to go back and rewatch it sometime.
For sure.
Yeah.
What's your number one, Henry? Let's get the big reveal.
All right,
please, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. So as much as I would love for it to be Wonder Woman 1984, it is Birds of Prey.
Oh, Henry.
Thank you, Paul. So this one, I have not rewatched it since the theater, but I think like Wonder Woman, it's not a perfect film. I totally agree with that, but I thought it was such a fresh, enjoyable, and I love the Harley Quinn kind of Suicide Squad part of the DC comic book world. And so I connect with that a lot deeper maybe than others do immediately. I thought it was incredibly entertaining. I love the design of the characters, the world, I think Margot Robbie is perfect as that character. And I'm really excited. I guess we may not get a sequel due to the box office results. I don't know. I thought it was such a cool little alleyway of the DC universe. And yeah, it's as I talked about on the review of it, it's got a couple issues, but looking back at this year, as with some of the others on the list, it did leave an impression. And I would like to see more comic book films like this as opposed to others like it.
No, I get that. And there are some elements of it that, aren't without merit. I think that the casting's really good. There are some visual elements that I enjoy. I don't know. For me, I guess right around the time that Birds of Prey came out, I also went and really rewatched a whole bunch of the DCEU. And I rewatched Suicide Squad, and actually I ended up preferring Margot's performance there than in Birds of Prey.
Interesting.
And I feel like it didn't quite, I guess, hit what it could have been. And for me, it just fell flat, Theoretically, all the pieces were there, but there was just something in the execution that really got lost for me. And it ended up being sort of a similar experience like Green Lantern many years ago, where I saw the first trailer and my gut was like, trash, don't you watch it. And then I saw the second trailer and I was like, maybe it can. And then I go and I watched it, and what ends up happening is I end up getting so disinterested that by the time that the third act big action sequence happens, that's when I end up falling asleep. And that's verbatim what happened both in Green Lantern and in Birds of Prey. Is right once the punches started getting thrown in the third act action sequence, and I was like, all right. And I just checked out and I was gone.
Paul, I could see you before this movie comes out in the theater just thinking, maybe I'll watch it. Watching these trailers go by.
And so, I'm glad that it was a really positive experience for you. And I really do love that cast. I love Ewan. I love Mary Elizabeth Winstead. I really enjoy Margot. I'm blanking on the guy that played Victor Zsasz, but I think that he's a little bit underrated and a little bit underappreciated because he does great in everything that I see him in. He gives me exactly what I need. In Newsroom, when he plays scumbag son of a media empire, he gives me son of scumbag media empire, and he's great. So it definitely has its merits, and I'm glad that you just had a great time with it. And
oh no, go ahead.
No, go ahead, go for it.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, in terms of the execution, similar to Wonder Woman and pretty much every superhero film that's come out recently is I agree the third act for me is the weakest part of that film. But for the execution, I really enjoyed Kathy Yan's direction a lot of the time. Certain action sequences with this slow-mo and these really cool visuals, that felt very new to me. And so that aspect I enjoyed a lot more than I thought I would. And I don't know, something about the kind of anti-hero rebel story, especially in the context of the DC world, I just enjoy a lot. Mm-hmm. And I love Ewan McGregor as well, Rosie Perez, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, and the whole cast is really great for me. And so it's people, they could have turned off it by this point, who knows, after I said my favorite film, but I enjoyed it, and I'm interested to go back and rewatch it at some point, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, for sure. You'll have to let me know if anything changes for you on rewatch.
I will.
Is there anything in 2021 just off the top of your head that you're looking forward to?
Yeah. So, and also I did want to mention, so Soul and Hillbilly Elegy are two honorable mentions for me.
Okay.
They're just two ones I watched over the weekend and didn't make the top 10, but both kind of were cool little films. Maybe we can get to those some other time. But no, for 2021, Dune, I think, is the biggest one.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, I feel like I had some. We talked about this a few weeks ago. I'm trying to remember what I said. Do you have any while I'm thinking?
Dune, Raya, the upcoming Disney princess film, I think is supposed to be 2021.
Oh, yeah.
If we end up getting Into the Heights, Black Widow, and West Side Story, I'll probably go and watch all of those. I'm looking forward to WandaVision a lot. I'm more interested in what Marvel is going to do on Disney Plus than what Star Wars is currently doing on Disney Plus. So hopefully they don't disappoint me. They haven't truly disappointed me yet, so hopefully that holds.
Yeah. A couple others from me would be the Suicide Squad, the James Gunn film for sure.
I'm waiting for an actual trailer.
Yeah. We'll reconvene at that point and see if I still feel the same. And yeah, basically all the ones you said. I do want to see the new Bond film as well. A Quiet Place Part 2. Even though I didn't love the first one, I'm curious to see the second one.
I loved the first one, so I'm actually curious to see if they can carry me into a second one.
Right. Yeah, I'm with you there. And also one that I don't really know much about at all. It's more so just the cast. It's Chaos Walking with Daisy Ridley.
Isn't that also Tom Holland?
It is, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess at some point we'll be getting that Uncharted film with Tom Holland, right?
Yeah, no comment.
Yeah.
I won't go down that rabbit hole.
No.
I'm better than that.
Yeah. What about Black Widow, Paul? Are you excited to see that?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think that it's more setting up whoever I guess is going to be our new Black Widow, because I don't mean to be rude, but no. I don't see a way for you to create an emotional arc for me for Black Widow between end movie part 1 and end movie part 2, where I also know that she's already dead. You know, it's kind of like,
right.
It's kind of like Solo movie effect. It's like, how are you going to sell me on this in between story where it's like, I already know who the character is. How are you going to make me feel for this path? And so I'll be curious to see where they go with it.
Yeah.
I'm 100% convinced that Taskmaster is just going to turn out to be Rachel Weisz.
Oh, yeah.
I'm 100% convinced.
Yeah. And yeah, it's like, I guess we almost got into it. I guess we didn't really talk about a whole lot, but with Alice Through the Looking Glass that we talked about on the Disney show, that one is kind of a similar thing where it is a prequel of sorts, but like, so you know how the characters are after they get through this storyline for the most part. And it's a pretty frequent concept with a lot of recent films is like, we know where they end up. So immediately there's just not, or inherently there's not a lot of danger, you know?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I agree. And then a couple others, the French Dispatch.
Yes, I am looking forward to that one a lot.
Yeah. And then also the Beatles documentary by Peter Jackson, where he's restoring all of the footage, which I loved his recent documentary, They Shall Not Grow Old, where he restored all the World War I footage. I love that. And so I love the Beatles, but I think it's just as a concept for a film, and what he's doing with the footage itself is going to be really worth seeing. Yeah.
You know, recolorizing, I think, is for me a little bit of a tricky thing. I think that if you're going to recolorize something, I think that you need to have both present as still an option. Just because I don't want the black and white to suddenly be gone, because that has its own story and its own history of where we were at sort of technologically. And, you know, it has imperfections. And so I hope that recolorizing doesn't become so sort of common that at a certain point we forget that our world was shown to us in sort of a stark black and white. But I don't mind recolorizing. It's actually really interesting. I think it's in the People vs. George Lucas, the documentary, or maybe it's in a book. There's also a book that's on the same topic. one of the people that went and spoke in front of Congress against recolorizing of images digitally was George Lucas, saying that you had to preserve the integrity of the original, and you had to make sure that that was what people had. And then, of course, a few years later, what do we end up having? The special edition releases of Star Wars. So
yes, you took the words right out of my mouth.
And so, you know, it's interesting. And I think that I personally see a little bit of similarity between Pete Jackson and George Lucas to a degree. So yeah, recolorizing is good. I'm certainly interested, but there's a narrative at play of the transition of black and white to color, of a few frames that were hand cranked to a smooth 24 to Peter Jackson experimenting with 48. And so there's a narrative at play in the medium itself of how far we've come technologically. And I guess I don't want that to get lost in the shuffle.
Yeah, no, I that's a good point. And They Shall Not Grow Old, it is interesting because like some footage is colorized, others it's just restored, you know? And so like he has, at least I thought he had a pretty good appreciation for the content that he had, you know, and the history. And so I think at least that film, at least is, you know, I think a good example of that. And I agree, it could be easily lost in the shuffle, and it deserves to be, or it should only be handled by the right people. You know?
Yeah, with care. Handle with care.
Yeah, exactly. And so that one, I think the Beatles documentary will be a cool one to see. And, you know, I'm always up for a good documentary. You know, there aren't enough good documentaries these days.
No, yeah. I mean, if you ever want to watch a great documentary that is also going to make you kind of like question a whole lot, you can go and watch OJ Made in America.
Oh, yeah. I've seen some of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's intense.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that for 2021 movies, that's about it. I'm sure there might be a couple other maybe indie films I'm just not thinking of offhand.
Yeah, probably. Or something that might end up, you know, it wasn't really on the calendar yet, but it might end up getting dropped somewhere.
Yeah, perhaps the Boss Baby sequel that's coming. You know, that's
must
the
watch.
Minions sequel as well.
Must watch material.
Yes.
Don't miss TV.
Paul, do I feel a Despicable Me bonus show coming at some point?
You know what? Sure. Why not?
Franchise?
We'll do all 3 Despicable Me's. We'll do Minions. You know, we'll do the whole thing. Are there Christmas specials? We'll do those too.
Yeah, that's going to blow the doors off.
All the children will listen. And children, Uncle Paul has a lesson.
Yes. That will launch us into stardom.
Known for traumatizing children.
Yes. So, well, I guess, Paul, anything else, man, you want to mention about either 2020 or 2021? Anything in the world?
No, you know, movies, no matter how much anyone will tell you that movies are a business, they are also at the end of the day an art, and art tells us something about ourselves now and also where we're going, you know, for better and for worse. And so even with the big studio films, you know, if you really look at the great ones, the truly actually legitimately great ones, they're telling us something about who we are, and who we could be and who we want to be. And so don't just take movies as empty things that you're just supposed to go and sit and watch, and it's a way to just kill 2 hours of your life, you know? Engage with what you watch, because why on earth would you want to waste 2 hours of your 60 years on Earth just fucking around?
Cutting it short, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. I mean, that's a great point, man. And, you know, I think with everything going on, you know, time is precious, and I think movies are, you know, they can be a great way to just, you know, look at the world and look at yourself, and
and a great way to communicate with people.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And also, Paul, I should say, you know, with this year having gone as it did, you know, thank you for having been with us for the last couple of months. You know, it's been great to have you here, and, you know, hope you'll stick around.
Yeah, it's great to be here. I enjoy doing this, and I was happy to step in, and when it was just a few episodes off the cuff, it was a lot of fun, and I've enjoyed the regularity of it. It's something that I look forward to, and it gives me a reason to. It forces me to really engage with current films,
for better or worse.
Yeah, for both.
Yeah. Paul, who would have known that back in 2017 when we did what was it, Spider-Man: Homecoming and Batman?
Yeah, I think that might have been the first one. Yeah.
Yeah. What a what a road it's been.
Yeah. Who knew that we would get all the way here?
Yes. But yeah, I guess that is about it for the show this week. Now, next week, Paul, did you have anything specifically you were thinking about? I mean, there are a lot of options. I mean, there's Soul. I know there's that new Vanessa Kirby, Shia LaBeouf film coming out on Netflix soon as well.
Okay.
I know. I mean, I think there are a few films at least that will be released over the next week or so, and then also we could always go back and look at films we missed in 2019 or 2020.
Yeah,
and do those. So
let's do Soul.
All right, cool.
Yeah,
I'm in.
I'll give it a rewatch because I wanted to watch it a second time anyway, so this will be a good reason.
Awesome. All right, yeah. So we'll do that for next week. And again, it's not out yet, but keep an eye out for the Disney live action bonus show at thefilmbuds.bandcamp.com, and you can get that through thefilmbuds.com as well if you need to. And yeah, that'll be coming soon. Yeah, well, I mean, Paul, thanks as always, man. It's great to see you, and it's nice to see things are going, well, all considering.
Yeah, thanks. It's great to be here, and I'm looking forward to 2021 with the Film Buds.
Yeah, man, for sure. All right, everybody. Well, yeah, we hope you enjoyed it as much as we did, and we'll see you next time.